Capricorn, welcome to your weekly Sidereal forecast for July 20th through the 26th. My name is Athen. So, a pretty straightforward week, like I've been saying to all the signs. We've got Sun conjuncting up to Mercury, which it's actually, before they do conjunct, it's going to be finishing their transit of your sixth house of routine, health, diet, the day-to-day stuff here, maybe even work or your crafts and things like that. So there's been a lot of energy there. This whole lunar cycle is still about these things. So any new intentions you set this week are continuing towards in relation to these sixth house matters will be emphasized for you, but should flow quite nice. Saturn is going to be trining up to both the Sun and Mercury before they go conjunct. And so, good discipline energy to be utilized here. I think our minds should be quite sharp. So if you want to really put in that practical element to, the health or the work or things like that, it should flow quite nice. Mercury does naturally rule your sixth house, but also rules your ninth house. So interestingly, while it's very practical, it's also at the same time very expansive. And so you have that good left and right brain energy, I think, to be utilized in harmony here. During this early part of the week. And then, of course, with the Sun rules your eighth house. So here, you're willing to work on and see the deeper elements of life, the truth of self, things like that, which could be, again, very supportive with that trine. So these two planets finishing up that sixth house, it'll still be the emphasis, but they're going into your seventh house here midweek, and when they do, they go conjunct. So the important thing here with that is that there's a shift going into relationships here for you Capricorns. It's already been the case because you've had Jupiter transiting that seventh house for almost the past year. So there should have been a lot of expansion and opportunities there, or at least seeing the upside of these things. And now with the personal planets going into the seventh for this next, few months, really, once Mars goes in there too, it's going to be an emphasis here of that seventh house. So the key there with that is, this week at least is, wanting to learn more about relationships. I think you'll be very passionate, actually, in general about these things with this conjunction. Keep staying balanced, of course, but I think with that trine up to your ruler Saturn, it should naturally be quite balanced. A good creative energy to be utilized with relationships, one-on-one connections, contracts, business things, that passion can be very disciplined this early part of the week. So that being said, that's the work week, is this conjunction and then that trine up to Saturn, really emphasizing that. And then over the weekend, we've got Mars trining up to Saturn, this actual grand trine that's taking place here over the weekend, which is involving that sixth house of yours. So you've had a lot of this energy available for you to perhaps do physical things like working out, stuff like that, to get health up in shape, or putting in that energy into your work, stuff like that. And then your 11th house, which Mars naturally rules, has been going through a sort of improvement, self-improvement. How you can contribute more, your home life, stuff like that should flow quite nice over the weekend. But that being said, with that grand trine, Uranus will be squaring up to that Mars. So the important thing here with that is that, as you can see here, Uranus has been transiting your 11th to help you gain more freedom with your communication, so you can liberate your mind, you can liberate your throat chakra, if you will, so that you can enjoy things with more freedom in your life. So there's nothing being bound and holding you back here with this day-to-day stuff of the third house. So that's also been emphasized by the South Node helping you release these things, and then the solar eclipse energy. So the key with that is over the weekend, it's a good time to constructively work towards the diet, the health, the routine, the relationships that's going to be the emphasis, but particularly around friendships or ideals, technology, things of that nature. Mars ruling your fourth house, relating to home, family. The more you're willing to constructively work towards your 11th, 4th, and 6th house over the weekend, then the more this will flow. Because otherwise it can feel like there's some liberation, there's some revolution energy trying to break free of in that sixth house, but it's important to take it nice and slow, stay balanced with it, which is, of course, the square energy. So change is the biggest thing, and the more you are willing to renew your life so that you, again, can have more of that freedom, the better. Now, also over the weekend, Mercury and the Sun is going to be sextiling up to that North Node in your ninth, which has been this whole energy of the year. about life path, expansion. This is very well aspected over the weekend, so things like travel, philosophy, astrology, university studies, overseas matters should be quite nice, and there's an opening for that. So I'd really recommend those things, connecting to nature. Anything that opens up your horizons, basically, is a good weekend for that. And then Venus and Uranus are going retrograde over the weekend as well at roughly the same time. So what's interesting about that is, going into next week, start to reflect on, more about this freedom stuff. How can you have more liberation here, especially with the day-to-day stuff here with your communications, etc., so you can enjoy life more, which is Uranus. And then reflecting on your values. This is what we're all going to be doing with Venus retrograde now for the next few months, reflecting on your deeper values, what's really meaningful to you, which is the 8th house. Reflecting on deeper connections, deeper bonds, which is Venus recently going in there. Reflecting on your self-expression, which is Venus ruling your 5th. And reflecting on your career, Venus ruling your 10th. So a lot of areas to reflect on, 8th, 5th, 10th, 3rd, for you with these two planets retrograde. And that'll be the energy going into next week. And as you can see, there's a lot of planets that are retrograde, including your ruler. So a lot of this internalized energy right now at the moment. But still very energetic time, at least in the day-to-day stuff, which can certainly be channeled, and is certainly very supportive for you in particular, because Saturn, your ruler, is trining up to that in the early part of the week, and then later on trining up to that Mars energy as well. So it's a week of a shift, basically going from a lot of this routine, health, diet stuff energy that was the case for you. Still is, though, with this lunar cycle, but shifting into relationships, one-on-one connections, etc. midweek, and then just wanting to free yourself and have more liberation in the day-to-day stuff will be the key going into next week. So Capricorn, have a nice week. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll talk to you all next time. Take care.